Here. Let's talk about Sam Darnold, Swagoo, because he's got QB1 spot right now there. What did you make of his performance for Minnesota?
I think when I was watching, I just reminded, like, this dude was a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. And you saw some of that play, the athleticism as well. But that deep dig he threw to Naylor is one of the prettiest balls I've seen thrown in a long time. This one right here. And Dan just talked about JJ being able to layer it. This right here was a seed now. And this is the type of throw that had us excited when Sam Darnold went to Carolina under a new staff, if he could emerge and put the pass behind him when he left the Jets. But you see these type of things from Sam Darnold, and you just get excited. But you got to take a pause, because you know sometimes that you may have to take a step back based on his play. But that throw right there reminded me of why he was the 3rd overall pick in the draft.
Marcus, Mina texted me a still shot of that, and she was like, "I will not quit Sam Darnold." I was like, same.
Why you gotta blow up our texts?
Yeah.
Listen, all right, now that you let the world know, there are some of us, Dan and I may be in this club, who still have a few shares of Sam Darnold stock that we're holding on to. And let me tell you, when he threw that ball to Naylor on the dagger concept, it was like a sleeper cell being activated. Like a part of my brain started firing, because that was one of the best throws I saw all weekend. But in all seriousness, I think it creates an interesting dilemma for the Vikings, not just between these two quarterbacks, but are you going to let J.J. McCarthy, who I thought had a phenomenal first outing, compete for the first job? Which, I mean, in weeks 2 and 3 in the preseason, are you going to flip the order so that he can go against ones at some point? It's hard when Sam Darnold is playing like that. And I think it's going to be a challenging thing for the Vikings to balance, to making this feel like a real fair competition so that he earns the job.
Yeah, and you got to.
Okay, obviously J.J. McCarthy is injured. This was recorded, right before that was all released. But I really wanted to highlight this because I want to highlight Sam Darnold, okay? Listen, Minnesota Viking fans, I'm sure you're bummed that J.J. McCarthy got hurt. I totally get it. And as someone who has torn their meniscus not once, not twice, but 3 times, and had surgery all 3 times, I can confidently tell you it's going to be okay. And it's actually going to work out, because I'm on the record saying that I do not think JJ should start this season. He's 21 years old. Let his body develop. Let him get stronger, as kind of shown. And let him just continue to learn under Kevin O'Connell. And he can learn tremendously from a quarterback like Sam Darnold. You have to understand who Sam Darnold is, okay? He was sent to 2 of the worst teams in the NFL for the last, my God, 10, 20, 30 years. The New York Jets and the Carolina Panthers, right? With coaches that are not even in the league anymore, just people that are just going to be forgotten names in the history of the NFL. And we're expecting Sam Darnold to be able to overcome all of that. It's just not possible. I've said this so many times. Most Super Bowls are won by Hall of Fame quarterbacks and Hall of Fame coaches. Coaching matters tremendously. And I will say this to as long as we're still talking about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes would not be Patrick Mahomes if he was sent to the Carolina Panthers. He would still be a great player, maybe only a good player, potentially, but he is significantly better, and he has reached the highest levels because he was fortunate enough to be combined with none other than Andy Reid. It's not to take away from Patrick Mahomes' greatness, but you need great coaching to be great, right? You just do. You need elite coaching to be elite. And Sam Darnold has had none of that. And not to mention, some quarterbacks are better equipped at overcoming poor coaching. That's why I believe that Patrick Mahomes would still be a really good, even great quarterback, even with bad coaching. We've seen that with Josh Allen. I think Patrick Mahomes becomes more Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen-esque without great coaching. And some quarterbacks are just not equipped to do that. Doesn't mean that they're not also potentially great or elite. I think, I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. it'll come to me later. But there's other quarterbacks in the NFL. Justin Herbert. There we go. We got there. Justin Herbert, I think, can be an elite quarterback, an elite thrower of the ball. But I think he struggles to overcome bad coaching. And now that he has Harbaugh, we're about to see Justin Herbert really take off. And I fully believe that. There is true potential that Sam Darnold can legitimately take off. I'm not going to sit here and say that now that he's got Kevin O'Connell and the Minnesota Vikings, that he's going to be a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. He's going to surpass Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going to be that extreme. But I do really believe that Sam Darnold can play like a top 10 quarterback. I believe that he can play better than Kirk Cousins. And Minnesota Vikings were rolling with Kirk Cousins. So I really believe that they could have huge success with Sam Darnold. And great coaches like Sam Darnold. Shanahan went out and got Sam Darnold. Kevin O'Connell, who I think is a top coach in the NFL, went out and said, we got to pay for Sam Darnold. We're going to have to give him some money. They paid him a chunk of change for a random backup quarterback when they're drafting another quarterback. So Sam Darnold was a steal. I really believe. Listen, he's not going to be flawless. He's still going to have some issues. But I think Kevin O'Connell is the perfect coach. The perfect coach for Sam Darnold. Because he needs to be supported. He needs a grown-up in the room. He needs someone who's actually competent at coming up with a game plan and putting his quarterback in a position to succeed. And an actual legitimate play caller. All things that Sam Darnold never had except for a minute when he was with the 49ers. And he had some really great moments with the 49ers. And he was thrown into the 49ers games in very less than ideal situations. What made me really believe in Sam Darnold more was when he got thrown into the Ravens game when Brock Purdy went down. Sam Darnold looked comfortable. He was commanding that offense. And it was like, okay. This is what Sam Darnold can look like when he has a legit team behind him and has Kyle Shanahan as his coach. It's night and day. So I really believe, and I'm not just saying this, I really believe that the Minnesota Vikings can have true success with Sam Darnold. The question is, though, what does that success look like? Because it's a brutal division. This is where I'm probably going to annoy Minnesota Vikings fans. After I just probably won them over with my rant. The Packers are really good. The Detroit Lions are really good. And the Bears are looking like they're going to be really good. So as I say in virtually every single video that I make in terms of when talking about the Packers and the Bears and the Lions and the Vikings, is that this division is an absolute gauntlet. That's the biggest thing going against the Vikings. If the Vikings were in like the NFC East or the South or AFC whatever, it would be like, oh yeah, definitely. Because I do think that the Vikings have the potential to legitimately be, I don't want to put a hard number on it, but essentially a top 14 team, but it might not show up in the standings because of divisional games and because of just the way, the schedule has unfolded and just the way how the playoffs work in that regard. That they might miss the playoffs just because. Because I don't also just rank teams based off of their schedule or based off of their record. I'm not like, oh, this is the top team because they have the best record. That's absurd to me. Under that logic, then the team with the best record would just always win the Super Bowl again and again and again and again and again. And that's not what happens. So people always say you are what your record is. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. 1,000%. So I think it's very possible that the Vikings are a legitimate playoff level team, but they may miss the playoffs. It really depends, honestly. I'm not saying I predict that. I really truly don't know. Because the question to me about Sam Darnold after I just praised him is how consistent can he play? I think he's going to have games where people are going to be like, oh my God, that was the top quarterback drafted. But I do think that it's also potential that he has some pretty bad moments. And they say, this is why he struggled in New York. This is why he struggled in Carolina. I can see that as well. So the real question is can Kevin O'Connell minimize all of that? Can he consistently put Sam Darnold in a position to succeed and not beat himself? And I do believe Kevin O'Connell can do that. And if he successfully does it, well then, man, the Vikings can legit win. As Mark Sanchez said on the Herd the other day, He thinks that the Vikings have a win now team, that team is legit, that they are way better than people really understand, and that if you can just lock down the quarterback, get good quarterback play, then they can have massive success. And if Sam Darnold can prove to be a great quarterback, man, better look out. Better look out. Like, they could really shock some people. And, man, they're definitely one of the top teams that I'm really excited to see how it unfolds. Because there's a lot of other teams that I'm very confident that they're going to be good. They're going to be great, top team. Like the Houston Texans, for instance. Like, I'm very confident. It would shock me, quite honestly. With the Vikings, I'm confident that they can be, but I'm not confident that they definitely are. I'm not going to try to just pander to the Vikings fans and say, they are going to the playoffs. They're going to win the division. I don't do that. I'm not here for that. If I really don't know, if I'm I'm back and forth, I try to admit that. I always want to be as forthcoming and honest as I possibly can. So that's why my eyes are going to be locked on the Vikings to be like, where is this coin going to drop? Where is it going to be? Can they get that momentum going? Is Mark Sanchez correct in saying that this team is legit? This roster is legit. And can Sam Darnold truly be legit? I cannot wait. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think the Minnesota Vikings can be a legitimate contender with Sam Darnold? Or do you think that's just a bridge too far and, Sam Darnold failed because he failed? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.